prevent the destruction of your world.
Guys, this is the Gaming Revolution here, and welcome back to an all-new Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Zombies Blood of the Dead video. So this is going to be a sort of condensed down version of a video that I made a little while ago. That was like a 20-minute long video, and essentially today we're going to be talking about the possibility of a Shadow Man versus Dr. Monty boss fight within Blood of the Dead. So if you enjoy this video, a like rating would be very much appreciated, as well as subscribe to the channel, and also go ahead and turn on notifications so you never miss out on a future upload here on the channel. But that being said, let's get straight into it. So as I said, this is going to be a very condensed down version of that 20-minute long video. So this is just going to be a theory, but it's one that I've been thinking about a lot. So first of all, within the Blood of the Dead intro cutscene, we see that the other Richtofen doesn't have his blood vials. We see that things have changed. Obviously, the Primus crew arrived to Alcatraz late, when this is obviously after the Zetsubo no Shima Easter egg, when they visit Alcatraz to recover the blood vials of the Victis crew. But the other Richtofen does not have the blood vials, and then the kronorium has changed, and Richtofen shouts out saying, "Our blood, mine blood," which suggests that possibly the kronorium has changed, because I think, personally, in my own personal opinion, this is happening in equilibrium to the cycle being broken by the Weasel on Mob of the Dead, where they were obviously stuck within Purgatory, a constant cycle in which if the other three characters killed Al, that would continue the cycle, but if Al killed the other three characters, that would break the cycle. And I think that something has changed within this universe. Possibly one idea could be that Classified happened, which caused some sort of delay within the loop, which allowed more time for the Weasel and the crew to gain knowledge on how to break the cycle of Mob of the Dead. Or what I think is the more likely option is that this could be happening when the Richtofen endgame happens on Buried, because Buried has two different endgames, the Richtofen endgame and the Maxis endgame, and on the timeline that describes the events that happen when the Maxis endgame is canon. And then when the Maxis endgame is canon, that universe gets destroyed by Maxis, but before it gets destroyed, the Victis crew actually go through a portal to the empty earth, in which they are followed by the undead Richtofen, as Maxis force Richtofen to be casted into a zombie's body, and then they obviously recovered the blood vials of the Victis crew, and then obviously the Victis crew were then placed within the cryogenic chambers in the secret laboratory underneath Alcatraz. And then the Richtofen in between Origins and Shadows of Evil comes in and recovers those blood vials of the Victis crew and gives them to the Primus crew, and he also manages to recover the blood vials of Sal DeLuca and Finn O'Leary. And I think that if Al breaks the cycle on Mob of the Dead, then it will mean that that blood will become redundant, because the blood won't protect Richtofen within the Revelations ending when he drinks one of the blood vials. However, the other three characters will still be protected, because the Victis crew are still placed within the cryogenic chambers, which puts them in some sort of dreamlike state, which is similar to the Purgatory realm that the Mob of the Dead gangsters were trapped within. So anyways, I think there's a huge chance that possibly Richtofen may have to sacrifice himself or something like that to give blood vials to either the Victis crew. Possibly the Victis crew could try and break the cycle that starts and ends with Revelations, when the characters are sent back in time to their medieval forms, or possibly he may give it to an Ultimus version of himself that we see within this new Revelations loading screen. So potentially it could be the undead Richtofen that we see within this loading screen that replaces the Primus Richtofen, or potentially it could be the Richtofen from Classified, or potentially the Richtofen that we killed on the Giant could become zombified, or it could be the Richtofen when he went missing from Ascension for a period of time. You know, there's endless possibilities. But I do believe that Richtofen may have to make one big sacrifice to eventually break the cycle. But the thing that I wanted to note within this video is that on Revelations it was all to do with the Shadow Man versus Dr. Monty, and the Shadow Man was perceived to be this great evil figure. He was quoted by Dr. Monty, was described as the Harbinger of Doom, the original Harbinger of Doom. However, the boss fight on Revelations was very easy. We managed to defeat the Shadow Man very, very easily. It was pretty much a copy and paste from the Shadows of Evil Easter egg. And we did see the Shadow Man again within the Zombies Chronicles version, the remaster of Ascension, which was so weird why he was just there. So what I was thinking is, what if the Shadow Man makes a return within Black Ops 4? Because this map takes place in between Zetsubo no Shima and Gorod Krovi. So it happens right after Zetsubo, so that means we have not collected Nikolai's soul yet, because that Easter egg hasn't happened yet, which means in the house there are only the child version of Richtofen, there is only the child version of Takeo and Dempsey and Samantha, but there is not one of Nikolai, which means he is soulless. And we learn moment from the Revelations intro cutscene that the reason why the Shadow Man was able to escape from the summoning key, because obviously on the Shadows of Evil Easter egg, the Shadow Man was trapped within the summoning key with our other characters. So he was trapped in with Takeo as well as Richtofen and Dempsey's soul. So he may have corrupted those souls, but what happened in Revelations was Maxis had not had his soul collected yet. He had only had his brain collected from the Maxis drone within the Origins Easter egg, and because of that he was vulnerable, and the Shadow Man could take advantage of that and use them as a host to escape the summoning key. Well, if Nikolai's soul has not been collected yet, there is a huge possibility that the Shadow Man could escape from the summoning key, because bear in mind, when Blood of the Dead is happening is right at the end of Zetsumo Noshima's Easter egg, so the Shadow Man is still within the summoning key, and it could mean that the Shadow Man could use that Nikolai as a host to escape from the summoning key, because I believe that Dr. Monty is indeed the devil, and he is the perpetuator of purgatory and hell that we see on Mob of the Dead, and he controls the red-eyed zombies. I've already made tons of videos talking about this within the past, and if Dr. Monty is indeed the devil, then we could see on Blood of the Dead as the boss fight, if the Shadow Man does escape, a Dr. Monty versus the Shadow Man boss. Now, if it does not happen within Blood of the Dead, I think it will happen on the maps in the future. So for example, this could be the first map in which we try and break the cycle, and then we could have follow-up maps, which ultimately leads to us potentially going back to Revelations like we see within this new loading screen, and that's when we will defeat Dr. Monty. But I think that the Shadow Man is going to escape at some point, and this time we are going to have to side with the Shadow Man, which I believe to be the lesser of two evils, because we hear from the quote on Revelations that the Shadow Man and Dr. Monty are described as a worm that was cut in half, but which one is the ass? And I believe that Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man are both the ass. They're both evil. They both used to be keepers, but the Shadow Man became corrupt and became the leader of the Apothecans, and I think that Dr. Monty had also became corrupt, but instead he had actually became, you know, some sort of devil-like being. So there was actually going to be a different boss fight on Revelations, and some of the YouTubers who went out to the reveal event for Black Ops 4 had this confirmed by Jason Blundell, and this boss fight was going to be Dr. Monty versus the Shadow Man, but for whatever reason it wasn't finished in time, or it was glitchy, or they just decided to go for a different option, but that didn't end up being the boss fight on Revelations. And Jason Blundell has said they're going to reuse this boss fight within a future map, and I'll play a clip for you guys right now from COD Zombies HQ.
He said that earlier in the development of the map, Dr. Monty versus the Shadow Man was supposed to play a much larger role in the boss fight. We assume something akin to actually an in-map battle between Dr. Monty and this Shadow Man, but for whatever reason that was cut or it was unfinished and didn't make it into the final version of the map. And he also told us that the boss fight arena itself was supposed to be a little bit different originally.
So this boss fight sounds insane. So if it was planned to originally happen on Revelations, what if it does happen again? And what if we have to, in order to break the cycle, in this boss fight we have to side with, you know, the Shadow Man instead to defeat Dr. Monty and break the cycle that starts and ends with Revelations? I don't know, that is a big theory. It's just something I was thinking about, something I was spitballing. It could be completely not true. That's just one idea that I was having. So as he said, if it doesn't happen on Blood of the Dead, I think it will happen on some future maps that follow on from the storyline that happens on Blood of the Dead. But yeah, this is very confusing. The Blood of the Dead intro is very confusing. Why Richtofen doesn't have the blood vials? I do believe he's still the younger version in between Origins and Shadows of Evil. I don't think it is a post-Revelations Richtofen, although this map is happening within a new cycle. So technically it is post-Revelations, but at the same time it is still at the end of the Zetsumo Noshima Easter egg. But I think something has changed which has caused him to not actually get the blood, whether that be the cycle was broken and he realized that by the kronorium changing, so he didn't even bother collecting the blood because maybe he has to sacrifice himself to give the blood to an Ultimus version of himself, or possibly the Victor's crew, or I don't know, but something has changed in that regard. Or possibly Richtofen's endgame happened on Buried instead of Maxis' endgame, which led to different events, which still led to the Victor's crew being placed within the cryogenic chambers, but some things might have actually happened differently in coalescence to, I believe, the cycle being broken by the Weasel. But yeah, anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Black Ops 4 Zombies news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.
Only together can we prevent the destruction of your world. So, I'm